hockey to the craggier climbs of Cedar City, Utah, and all the football you can handle in between. We're going around the UAC. Please enjoy today's in-flight entertainment, the Rev himself, Dustin Hilton.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy November, also, my birth month. All right, so yeah, Randall saw this comment and put it up right away. Can't believe it's week 10 already. You know what? Neither can I, bud. It's going by so quick, and if you think about it, we are 2 weekends away from knowing the playoff bracket, which is pretty damn exciting. Which I will do a plug about the playoff bracket and maybe some bracketology you might see live next week at the end of this show. I see Jim Poppin is here. I was 1 minute late, Jim. Give me a little bit of slack, okay? I'm not the B team, okay? I try to keep it within 60 seconds of start time. B team, they say they're going to start at 8, and look what they're going at, like 9 tonight or something. So come on, give me a little bit of credit here. So anyway, yeah, let's talk about what happened last week. There were some good games, and there were some other games that I don't really want to talk about. Jim, it's a pretty nice flight number. So let's go through this stuff real quick. First of all, Southern Utah. I normally would wear a shirt for Southern Utah winning, but they played Lincoln University, who I am not sure if that's actually a university or a division of the Ford Motor Company, but they beat them 35-6. And the other reason why I'm not wearing SUU gear is because you let a school known as Lincoln score 6 points on you. Come on, Coach Fitzgerald. You're playing a team below you, way below you, who I'm pretty sure my house is bigger than their university. You shouldn't let them score on you at all. But still, interesting win for Southern Utah. And there's a question in the comments already I'm going to pop up in just a bit. Let's see. Abilene Christian beat Utah Tech 24-7, and what's really honestly a sort of a score you expect out of that game. Both teams looking good, though. Looking good. Central Arkansas beat North Alabama in the Will Seiler Sad Bowl, as we like to call it. I'm a little bummed he didn't put that picture up on social media. So, Will, if you see this, put that image up from when you were a kid and both those schools were D2 and they're playing each other in the playoffs, because it's a pretty epic photo. Austin P beat EKU 33-30 and was definitely the game of the week. A game that really is sealing Austin P as a couple of things. One, Austin P should be in your top 20 if you're voting. If they're not, I'm not sure why, because I think they've earned it at this point. And secondly, depending on results of this game, I think it could set Austin P up to where they win the conference title already. So see how that goes. And lastly, my alma mater did not show up to Stephenville. Got absolutely destroyed by Tarleton State, 59-17. SFA just is falling apart. 0-4 in conference for the Lumberjacks. They're looking at a 3-8 season. And if you go look at the message boards, the pitchforks are already coming out for Carthel. I'm going to touch on that in a second. Excuse me. So first, a couple of things with the conference and performance. I'm going to go back to this comment that Jim put up here. Jim Letice. I don't want to say your last name incorrectly, but is SUU a top 30 team? So if you look at Southern Utah, yeah, if you look at Division I wins, they're 3-3. They've got 3 D1 wins. They've got 2 FBS losses. One of them was almost a win. So you could argue for them to be a top 30 team. They did beat Tarleton, who is in folks' top 25 right now. They did lose to Central Arkansas, who have kind of been on the top 25 bubble. And so I think you could argue that they're there. I think they win this week. They beat Utah Tech. They're not going to finish in the playoff race, obviously, but they're gonna if they win this week, win next week. I mean, you could look at them and say they're a top 25 team. I don't think they'd be good enough with that record getting an at-large bid. They'd be 8 and I don't know. This would be an interesting one because they'd be 8-3, right? And I hope Jimmy Williams watches this and clears me up on this. Clears up on this one, because they would be 8-3 with 2 FBS losses, right? A loss to Central Arkansas. I'm looking at, let me go. I had their schedule pulled up on my phone. I don't have it pulled up on a computer because I'm not going to deal with that. So let's go through them year by year or season by season or week by week. Sorry, I'm distracted. All right. So Southern Utah, they lost to Arizona State. So, but that's an FBS loss. It's not going to hurt them. They lost to BYU. So that's FBS loss. So it doesn't hurt them. They lost to UC Davis. So that is their third loss, right? Okay. So that's their first one there. First win against Western Illinois. So that's one win. Lost to Central Arkansas. So that's two FCS losses. So the best they can finish is 7-4, technically 6-4 because the win against Lincoln Financial Field doesn't really count for them. So I think they'll be out of the playoffs. So I think you could argue that they're a top 30 team. I think they perform like a top 30 team. I think they've gotten a lot better week over week. I think Coach Fitzgerald knows what he's doing. And I think that when we see the preseason rankings come out next year, that they'll be probably near 30 and Jamie Williams is top 30. They would probably be near 30 in mine. So I don't think that's a bad question. I think that's actually a really good question. I just, don't know if they're there yet. Let's see. Chad says, love the Butcher Boys hat. Yep, my favorite spot in Nacogdoches. And I was up there for homecoming, grabbed the hat, decided I would rep it. Just as a reminder, there are some folks going to Nacogdoches this week. Some of them watch this show. Get yourself some barbecue at Butcher Boys. It's all good. Jim says, sorry, Rev. I could only watch about 8 minutes of that game. You know what, Rev? Or you know what, Jim? I could only watch about 8 minutes of that game too. It was not pretty. You have 5 fumbles, 5 turnovers. Like, it's insane how they could not hang on to the ball, and then the offense is just not there. So this is going to kind of tie into the next thing. So Jason asks, do you think UIW would be 0-4 in the UAC if they played SFA schedule? I don't know. 2 different teams, but I don't think Incarnate Word is having the problems SFA has. That's not a comparison that I would do. Yeah, Incarnate Word lost to Nichols. Yeah, Incarnate Word doesn't look as good as they did last year. But yeah, they're also under technically a first year coach in Kalo. I think they might maybe not have the same record they would have versus the Southland. I think if they played Austin P, they would probably have lost. They played Abilene Christian and they did beat Abilene Christian, right? I think if they played Central Arkansas, they would probably lost. I think if they played Southern Utah, they'd probably lost. So they might be in the 500 range. I don't think they'd be 0-4 in conference. But to the point about SFA and everything else that's going on with this. So SFA's, you've got to wonder if there's going to be discussions about changes in coaching. And I don't think that involves Colby Carthel. I know there are some folks who are concerned now because he is sub 500 as a coach. They've kind of had a 2-year downward trajectory from being a playoff team to, finishing under 500 for the first time and since his first year, I think, technically. So that is a concern to fans, but I think you got to look at some of the other issues on the team. I think there's just a lack of creativity in the offensive scheme. There are some questionable play calls that are bothering me. Like, again, we should have probably beat Central Arkansas. And by we, I mean SFA. I'm trying to keep it neutral. But SFA should have probably beat Central Arkansas. There were some field goal opportunities that weren't taken. There's some questionable play calls on the drives too. I mean, UCA did not look as good as they normally did against SFA. You look at Austin P, they were winning, and then they basically snatched defeat from the jaws of victory in that game. So there's other I don't know, but like Tarleton's on the up and up, and they're looking better. And Todd Witten, man, he's been there since he left Sam in a disgrace. And he's been there for forever. And, yeah, there was this thing that came out about Tarleton and their transition not having a losing season, but also 3 of those seasons they played scrubs. This is their first year playing really, really a full D1 schedule. And I mean, they've done well. So you have to give Tarleton some credit, but SFA I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's problems in the locker room. I don't know just what it is, but they aren't looking good. And so you have to wonder, I don't think you fire Carthel, but you do have to wonder if there might be a little heat in his office chair this week. It's funny though, if you go to SFA boards or if you look at some SFA Twitter, there are some people who are very opinionated that you should not have an opinion of coaches if you do not or did not play sports. Unfortunately, guys, those are called fans and those are called donors and those are called alumni. So I would also tread very carefully in what you say whenever you represent the school because you don't want to piss off potential donors. But that's just me. See Chase. I don't know if you guys know Chase or follow him on Twitter, but he is part of the UCA family. And so he said he's excited that the conference title's coming down to last week's. Hopefully it's some very details of how these three teams at the end. I think it was just luck. But he I would say it's interesting because we'll talk about with the game this week, but this game could actually help Austin Peay out quite a bit because if Eastern Kentucky can beat Central Arkansas, that's really gonna launch Austin Peay to the title. Have we asked if Austin Peay loses to Central Arkansas, who ends up with the auto bid? That has not been asked yet, and there is a tiebreaker system. Actually, when I had my boy on a few weeks ago, Kyle, he did kind of go into it a little bit. I'm pretty sure it'll get posted up on social media either. I'm not going to misconstrue it, but there is a tiebreaker system that doesn't involve some weird ass power poll or something like that, like it did the year before. That's actually going to come down to things like head to head and other stuff like that. I just don't know if Austin Peay can be stopped at the moment, man. They're just looking better and better each week. That offense is really clicking. The defense, I mean, Parker McKinney, here's the thing, Eastern Kentucky, they've had a rough year, but Parker McKinney has a damn arm. So the fact that they were able to get out of there with a win is pretty good. And no, Chad, it is not a coin flip. This isn't the OVC. Of course, if it was a coin flip, we would definitely ask for it to be televised, and we'd love to hear the sad voice with the result. But no, it was it is not a coin flip. And then also, too, Todd Wynn's only losing season is back in 2016. So, I mean, Todd Witten's not a bad coach at the D2 level. I guess I can't say that now because he's doing well at the D1 level, too. But he sure did not do very well in Huntsville. A lot of Sam folks still curse his name when you bring up old TW. I've seen where SFA folks are like, we should hire Todd Witten. I'm like, Todd Witten struggled at Sam. I don't think he would do very well at SFA. But of course, Carthel does know how to win. I just think maybe some other changes are in order with the school or with the team. But I know Ryan Ivey is a very pragmatic AD. I know he'll look at that. He'll look at the team and say, hey, we need to do these things. Sorry, Jim. I just saw your comment after Chad's coin flip at an undisclosed location, like in Friday Night Lights. Yeah. Jay said, a very early forecast and maybe some rain in Clarksville next week and can make an interesting game with two high-powered offenses. Yeah. And if there's rain in Clarksville, that's going to actually probably benefit I don't know if it's going to benefit or not. If it's raining there, let's see. Let's just go into the games for next week real quick because we can kind of talk to these one by one. Because I mean, if you're looking at a forecast for whenever UCA plays Austin Peay on the 18th, I wouldn't trust 10-day forecast, but you never know. Tennessee, that part of Tennessee is like the London of the South. It just rains all through November and December. Let's definitely go through the games we'll go through these pretty quick. Utah Tech is playing Austin Peay in Clarksville. That's a win for Austin Peay. I think Utah Tech, I'm not saying they're a bad team. I just think Austin Peay is too powerful of a team right now. Give it me Austin Peay by 17. That's going to be the number I'm going to call there. Tarleton State against Abilene Christian. This could actually be a a lot of fun in the United Athletic Conference because of their proximity to each other, some of the D2 histories that are there. So like I said, each week Charleston State's getting better and better. They have one of the best defensive players on their team too. So I'm gonna give me the Texans. I don't see Abilene Christian upsetting them. Give me the Texans. I'm going to say Texans by 14. We got the Fighting Coach Fitzgeralds in Southern Utah coming into Stephen F. Austin. So, Coach Fitzgerald, when you watch this, a couple things. One, get yourself some Butcher Boys, and if Butcher Boys wants to give me some sponsorship money, that'd be great too. To enjoy the Fredonia Brewery if you get a chance, and if Fredonia Brewery wants to give me sponsorship money, that'd be great too. But with this game, it's gonna be kind of fun because I don't know if you guys follow Jay Arnold on Twitter. If not, he's a great follow. You'd recognize him because he had this photo at the Mayo Bowl last year, just diving into a jar of mayonnaise. But he'll actually be at the SFA game. I will not be at the SFA game this weekend, but I got to pick against my alma mater. I honestly, I don't know. They are really looking to finish 3-8 this year, and they were looking to finish 0-8 in conference, and that's not the way you want to start. Let's see. And then last, I saw this comment right here from Randall. For EKU, UCA, it's the game of the week because of a lot of implications, a ton of implications to this game. Because again, if you look at the standings, I think if I'm gonna go through these real quick. So Austin Peay's 4-0. Central Arkansas 3-1, Eastern Kentucky's 3-1, Tarleton's 3-2, but they're not eligible for the championship. Abilene Christian's 3-2, Southern Utah's 2-2, Utah Tech's 1-3, North Alabama's 1-5, and SFA is garbage. So, anyways, to that point. So now here's where the implications kind of go with this, right? Because if Eastern Kentucky beats Central Arkansas, it's going to eliminate Central Arkansas from getting a conference title as well as getting a playoff bid. So they'll be out of the playoffs. So then it's going to bring Eastern Kentucky up to 4-1 in conference. Now let's assume Austin Peay wins this week. They'll be 5-1 in conference. Okay. So everybody follow me on that? All right, good. So with that, even if Central Arkansas were to beat Austin Peay in the following week, the tiebreakers would go to Austin Peay. So I think Austin Peay they can basically, I believe, clinch the title this week. At least they'll clinch a share of it with a win, but I think they'll get it outright because of tiebreakers. So yeah, I think if you want to see some drama, you really got to pull for Central Arkansas this weekend. But I don't know. I don't see Austin Peay losing to Utah Tech. And I mean, I don't know. You don't know with Central Arkansas. That's one of the other things too. Central Arkansas started off so good, and then week over week, it's almost like they've slowly regressed. And I just don't know. I don't know if they have the defense now to stop Parker McKinney. I think they have the offense. I just don't know if it's there. But if Central Arkansas does win, that's going to take Eastern Kentucky out of any sort of tiebreaker. And that's really going to vault the importance of the Central Arkansas Austin Peay game next week, because then that would be for a conference title. So let's go through the comments because I've seen a whole bunch coming up. Isn't the only question who wins EKU versus Central Arkansas? Yeah. I mean, it kind of is. Zach from the Blue Bloods, meet me in Clarksville next weekend. Man, I'm glad you're getting to go to that game, dude. That's going to be one hell of a game. I'm looking forward to sitting back and watching it. I will have just returned from a work trip to Maine, so I'll probably be watching that from my couch. But I would love to go because I think it'd be a fun thing to watch. Let's see. Oh, this is a back and forth on that. EKU win and Austin P win. It should. That's exactly it. So Austin P's got to be rooting for Eastern Kentucky. But then here's a great comment from Facebook user. When was the last time 9-2 conference champ wasn't seeded in the FCS playoffs? If the Govs went out, they should get a seed, right? I think you could argue them for an 8 seed at that point. But then you also have to look at everybody else that's in contention here, because Furman's going to get a seed. Okay, so let's look at the seeds. All right, South Dakota State, unless they stumble, which it's not looking likely because they are just wrecking shop. South Dakota State is going to be a 1 seed. Okay, all right. Furman is probably going to get your 2 seed because Furman has just gone through and done what they need to do in the SoCon, right? So then you've got a combination of probably Montana and Idaho getting the 3 and 4 seeds. All right. South Dakota getting a 5 seed. Okay. Delaware getting probably a 6 seed. And then you're going to have, so this is kind of where it gets down to the nitty gritty, because you would think a 9-2 UAC team is going to steal an 8 seed. And you think they could, but also if North Dakota State wins their last couple of games, yes, they'll be 8-3, but they're going to be 8-3 in the Valley. That would potentially get you a seed, right? So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs on that. And there's a question right here that I see that I'm going to tie to this. If UCA wins out, do you think the United gets 2 bids? They might, and the reason why is because of what's happened with the Southland. Because of Incarnate Word losing to Nichols. That loss hurts. The Southland isn't strong enough to be a 2-bid league anymore, with how bad Southeastern Louisiana has done this year. And Nichols, honestly, if you look at the resume, who have they beat besides Incarnate Word? If you look at Incarnate Word's resume, who have they beat? Period. Abilene Christian? So no, I think this would open up the door for a 2-bid UAC if this were to happen. I think you could do it, but so let's say Austin P wins this week, they get a share of title, let's say they lose Central Arkansas, to be 8-3, they would still be a playoff team. There wouldn't be a bubble there. So Central Arkansas can beat them. Central Arkansas wants the bid outright. Then yeah, it would definitely open the doors for a 2-bid United, which is not something anybody at all expected. So there is still a lot of stuff up in the air about what will happen with the conference and the results, but it's going to be some good football. It's been good football all year. This is probably one of the best conferences to watch outside of the Missouri Valley and the Big Sky. There's been some real great football, a lot of parity. So it'll be interesting to see. So to tie into this playoff thing, let me get a drink real quick. So to tie into this playoff talk, I'm going to do a little plug for the FCS Fans Nation guys, the big show. So next Sunday at, I think, 8:00 Central Time. I could be wrong. Double check that. They're going to do a live predict the FCS bracket. It's going to be Matt, Jamie, and Kyler going through and doing this. It's a fun thing to watch every year because it's also fun to see how accurate they are on this. So I would recommend watching that show live. You might see me behind the scenes helping out with your comments. So yeah, hey, I just was looking to see. Here he is. There's my man Kyle. He says, tapping in, excited for the championship stretch. In a crowded field, the UAC is one of the strongest and should be a multi-bid league every year. Absolutely. So thanks for popping in, Kyle. Yeah, we're talking about how interesting it would be if Austin P if Central Arkansas were to win this weekend and lose to Austin P. You could get a definitely get a 2-bid league. However, I think that has to happen for it to be a 2-bid league this year. I don't think you're going to get it with a 1-bid league. Let's see. Facebook user says Austin P doesn't get at large bids. They won to OVC in 77. Are we really going back to 77, dog? Okay. Anyway, they were 7-1 against SES Punch in 2017 and didn't get in. So if I remember in 2017, the reason why they didn't get in is because they didn't win the conference outright, right? They lost to was it Jacksonville State that year? I could be wrong, but I think it's Jacksonville State. And with that, their strength of schedule wasn't great either. So they effectively got what we like to refer to as Lehigh or McNeese. And that is a concern. This is why your out-of-conference schedule is super important, because McNeese went, 9-2, didn't win the Southland, didn't get in the playoffs. Lehigh went 9-2, didn't win the Patriot League, didn't get in the playoffs. So, I mean, if you're 7-1 against weak FCS opponents, you didn't have a record to stand behind and get you into the playoffs, especially against some other teams that may have been, let's say, 8-3, and had an 8-3 team in the Missouri Valley is going to get into the playoffs over a 9-2 team that's in the former OVC or even current OVC or the Southland that doesn't get their auto bid. That's just what happens. It comes on the resume and strength of schedule. So let's see. Yes, this is milk. Actually, this is not milk. This is a really destroyed Hartford Whalers Yeti. It's fallen apart over the years, so I still love it. Let's see. Chad said Sunday at 8. That's right. Do I see a scenario where Furman doesn't get the number 2 seed? Absolutely. I can see any reason for Furman to not get a number 2 seed, because look at the conference they play in. The SoCon is notorious for beating each other up when they and that can be a detriment to them. Chattanooga, look at Chattanooga, lose early in the year. They come back, start beating folks up, right? I personally think that they're going to get the number 2 seed. I think the only way that you would see Montana get a number 2 seed over them is if Montana wins the Brawl of the Wild, because then at that point, Montana will have the top 10 resume. Even though they lost to NAU, they still have wins over top 10 Idaho, top 10 Montana State, and top 10 Sac State. So that's a resume that helps versus what Furman has. Furman's best win is against Western Carolina, who is no longer a top 10 team. So there is a scenario, I think, where that could happen. It's just a matter. I don't know. I think they'll get the 2 seed. I have them picked as a 2 seed, but again, the committee sees some things sometimes that you can't explain. The committee sometimes devalues certain things. So I don't know. If they don't get a 2, they get a 3. And what sucks for them is that means they'll have to go to Montana potentially to play in the semis, and that'll be rough for them. Let's see. What if Montana wins out? Yeah, that's exactly it. If Montana wins out, man, that resume is so good. It's so freaking good. Yes, even with a loss to NAU, their back half of the year, making the changes that they did with Clifton McDowell, they're going to look at wins first versus losses. And that's how the committee works. They're going to look at, hey, what's your win? What do your wins look like? Okay. Are your wins better than that one loss? Poppin says Sac State is in a top 10 in my opinion. And you know what? I'm going to add on to this, Jim. I don't think there's 10 teams in the top 10. I really don't. I think that after you get down past about 6 or 7, the rest of it's kind of just soft and weak. Like I don't think you call it a top 10, but really there's a big, you got 1, 2, and then there's a bit of a gap, then 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's a gap again. And then you have the rest. So I think calling it a top 10 this is one of the years where there's not really 10 good teams. It's one of the years where there actually shouldn't be 8 seeds because I don't think 8 teams are deserving of a top 8 seed, but they have to do it. But it also to that point, to me, it sets up a real. I think there's really only 3 teams that could make it to Frisco. I mean that had the potentially had the chance to make it to Frisco, because obviously 2 of those will. I think it's going to come down to South Dakota State, Montana, Idaho, as it currently stands. SAC is 100% over. They really are, but you know what? They got a good FBS win. They did this all. They lost, what was his name, Scatterbo, their running back from last year. But they also have done this a couple of years ago. They got like a 4 seed when it came to seeding, and I said that they were the most overrated 4 seed I've ever seen in my life. And what they do, they lost in their first game. So they kind of have a history of being a bit overrated. So this is kind of tying into it. So I don't know if I don't know if they'll make a top 8 seed, to be honest with you. I think they'll be a road dog somewhere, and that'll probably be good for them. Jackson State's not going to the playoffs. Although, man, I will tell you what, I wish North Carolina Central, I get why they were going to go play in the Celebration Bowl because that's money and stuff. But, man, I think they would actually wreck some shop in the playoffs if they said we're not going to play Celebration Bowl. But, man, this could be a really good Celebration Bowl, though, between North Carolina Central and FAMU. I mean, this could be probably one of the ones where it's just not a complete Jackson State getting dismantled, since that's what they've been the past couple of years. I think if we get an NCCU, FAMU one, probably one of the best Celebration Bowls we've had in a while. And then, yeah, there should really only be 2 seeded. There should be 3 seeded teams. No, I only phrase that. There should be 4, because right now it should be South Dakota State, Furman, Montana, Idaho. That should be your top 4. That should be your 4 seeds. Everybody else should have to play their way up to that. I think those 4 have earned their spots. They should be safe. I think those are your lock for your top 4 seeds, unless Montana loses to Montana State, or unless Idaho somehow stumbles along the way. So a couple quick plugs. One, like I said, the show next, or the show on Sunday will be sorry, Chad, we had the discussion earlier. Yeah, South Dakota is probably going to be 5, but I'm so proud of you for supporting your fellow state school and trying to get them highly ranked for the playoffs. Like it's just that state love, man. Just it's so good. Anyways, no, Chad knows I'm just screwing. Chad knows I'm screwing with him when I say that. So anyway, yeah, so this Sunday at 8:00 Central will be the FCS Fans Nation will go live again, like they went live this past Sunday, and they will do their bracket prediction. It'll be pretty interesting. We're going to go live, so you can have your comments. You can throw shade at them. It'll be fun. Also, today's kind of a double header because the B team is going to go live tonight at 9:00 on both the Jackrabbit Illustrated YouTube as well as the FCS Fans Nation YouTube. So I would say you got about 56 minutes. So take your time, get a snack, go have a beer or 2, and then go back and watch them at 9. And then also real quick, we sponsors Walk On Apparel. If you haven't gone shopping there yet, I recommend taking a look. They're launching new teams every month, and the money, part of the money goes back to the athletic fund. So even if you don't see a school that's yours, maybe support another school. They've got some really cool swag. I've got an Idaho shirt and a Utah Tech shirt from there. Definitely enjoy that. And also the Versus Sports Simulator, the big show's been using that on Sundays. That's been a fun thing to have. And you can also get, there's some sort of promotional with that if you go watch the big show, they can tell you it. I'm not going to misstate it. But real quick, again, make sure you like and follow all the FCS media, from Sam Herder, who hates my poll, to, Zach and the Blue Bloods. Follow all the conference Twitter feeds, all the conference social medias. Follow, take care of the folks, Hack City, FCS Nation Radio, all those guys that are doing their best to do their coverage and to give you all the fun stuff to watch. What is? Oh yeah, Chase, this is a good call, and I meant to take a note about this. Non-football signing day is tomorrow. So for all your other sports, you should keep an eye out and see who you're bringing in. Probably bringing in some great talent who will be proud to represent your university on the fields, and you should definitely support them and support their programs. Jason Plotkin, one before we go, he says the Colts will have a multi-way bid tie too. Sorry, Flow Sports. That's a good one. Flow Sports has the right to to determine tiebreaker. Don't expect visibility on the process. I mean, you can't watch Flow Sports in general, so who cares? Anyways, guys, have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. Also, too, Saturday is November 11th. For any of you who do watch this, who have served, or you have family that have served, and our armed forces, either active, reserve, any of that. Thanks for your service to our country. Enjoy your day as well, however you want to do it. Get all the good meals you want, watch all the football you want, but remember that we all appreciate all the things you've done for our country. All right, that's it. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you guys next week.